Hi, we're Matt and Danielle and we're going to be sharing 21 things we wish we knew before travelling New Zealand. We spent 6 magical weeks in both the North and the South Island and we learned some sometimes surprising lessons along the way.
We want to share these with you so that you can hit the ground running and basically spend your time having the most incredible trip of a lifetime. We're going to get right into it and start with how New Zealand is set up geographically, because there's a North Island and a South Island and they feel like almost two different worlds. The north is definitely warmer for one, and you can find a lot more local Maori culture there as well. You've got towering volcanoes, hot springs, rolling green hills like you would find in Hobbiton, for example.
Beautiful.
And more of that nature and landscape that reminds us a lot of when we've been driving around the UK in the past.
Whereas the South Island is much colder, the landscapes are pretty dramatic and wild here, the towering mountains and the beautiful open lakes. Whereas with the cities, it's much smaller. Queenstown, for example, is so much smaller of a city compared to places like Auckland.
And what about when to visit? So it kind of depends what you want, because summer and winter here are drastically different.
Very different.
The tourist peak season here is between November and February, and these are the summer months. We visited in March and April, which is more of a shoulder season towards the end of summer, and we found that it was still really warm.
The sun is starting to come out!
So
Yay!
nice. It was less busy. Towards the back end of the trip was when we did start to get a little bit of bad weather.
Yeah, I would say mid-April, but it wasn't too bad. It was just a little bit of rain.
If you are going to come in that peak season, then remember to book everything in advance, plan everything beforehand. Campsites will get really full, tours will get booked.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to rent a camper van, we'll obviously go into a little bit of that later, or a car, they could get booked up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to be organised.
It also does have its perks, like lupin season, which starts around November time into December. Unfortunately, we didn't see them when we were there March and April, but it looks incredibly beautiful.
We was a bit gutted to miss out on that. Next time.
For winter, the best months to visit is between June and August. This is prime time if you are loving your winter sports.
More so in the South Island than the North.
Yeah.
And when flying in and out of New Zealand, you obviously firstly need to know which island you're going to fly into. If you're going to fly into the North Island, the option that makes the most sense is to fly into Auckland, because if you're going to be doing some sort of a road trip from there, you can then travel down the south of the North Island and cross over into the South Island. And if you're starting in the South Island like us, we started in Christchurch.
Yeah.
That's the largest airport in the South Island, so there's more flights in and out from different countries. But if you can work it out, the most beautiful airport to fly into is Queenstown.
Yes.
There's mountains all around the area. It looks stunning.
Beautiful.
But I don't think there's as many flight routes in. I know it's quite a popular route coming from Australia.
Yeah, that's true. What is the best way to get around New Zealand? And maybe a little bit biased of us, but we're going to say camper van. Camper van life for us was honestly incredible and such a good way to explore both the South and the North Island. One pro tip as well, if you do pick a camper van company, you can pick it up in the south. We just picked up our camper van and drop it off in the north, which is what we did. And that enabled us to see both the North and the South Island much easier than having to go back and forth.
We rented our camper van, and we'll be honest, it's not cheap.
It's not. It's not.
But if you're staying for longer than 6 months, we would definitely recommend buying a van instead of renting.
Yeah.
If you're staying for less than that, you're going to struggle to find one to buy, go through the whole process, and then at the end of the trip, sell it as well.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of your time.
You can rent a car. We've seen people do that. We've seen people sleeping in their cars.
True.
Which we'll get onto some issues with that later, especially from new regulations that have come in this year.
Although if you do love camping, that is a great option.
You can
with the tents and everything.
You can get some camping gear and everything like that. And there's also coaches that do go around New Zealand. They mainly go to the main hotspots. So if you're looking to go anywhere a little bit more remote, you'll struggle. You're going to have to pay for hotels. And by the time you've factored all that in, it's not that much cheaper, if at all cheaper, than hiring somewhere that you can also sleep in as well.
Very true. Off the back of us recommending van life, another pro tip we would have is just embrace the van life culture. It honestly is such a beautiful sense of freedom that we've never experienced doing anything else. You're on the road, you get to pull up somewhere beautiful. If you love it and you want to stay, you can stay for longer. If you get there and you're like, do you know what, this isn't really for me, I'm going to move on, you can leave. So it really is honestly such a beautiful way to travel.
We love it. We've done a few different road trips. It's not our first rodeo in
And
this
it won't be our
instance. Really do embrace it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And since we've discussed different variations of driving around New Zealand,
Yeah.
it is such a road trip destination. Little bit of a public service announcement right here.
Yeah.
They drive on the left side of the road.
The left-hand side of the road, which for us
Is
the
technically-
correct side.
I was going to say the right side.
Well, that's confusing. That's the normal side of the road for us. But obviously, if you're from the US, Europe, probably most of other places in the world,
a lot of places.
you are used to driving on the right-hand side of the road. So that's a really, really pro tip to keep in mind.
Just take it easy on the first couple of days. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll address the elephant in the room now.
Yes.
It is not a cheap country to visit or travel around.
Probably in the 6 weeks that we spent there, I think possibly the most expensive trip we've done.
Yeah, between...
But before you get started, it is worth it. It was incredible. We absolutely loved it, and we would do it again in a heartbeat.
Across, petrol, your food,
Yeah.
your car, van, or
Hotels if you stay in
however you're going to
hotels.
do it, all that sort of stuff. And one thing that New Zealand is so well known for is those incredible experiences and
Yes.
activities that you can do. Across all of them and more, it starts to add up.
It does.
In our first month alone, we added it up and we spent over £5,000,
Yeah.
which is 10,000 New Zealand dollars approximately.
Yeah.
There's a few things that we learnt along the way that would have saved us a bit of money.
Yeah, for sure.
But that gives you an idea of the kind of budget that it can come to.
One thing we do want to say is thank you to all the Kiwis, New Zealanders, all of you who commented on one of our first videos that we did when we were in New Zealand, giving us pro tips about where to shop, how to make our money go a little bit further. So we really, really appreciate your advice. So thank you for that.
We do wish that we had that advice a little bit sooner.
Where were you before?
But now we can pass that advice on to you. So we do have some money saving tips coming up for you now.
Yeah.
Our first money saving tip would be to shop at Pack and Save.
Yes.
This is by far the cheapest supermarket that we found. Along the same lines, when it comes to your local produce and things like that,
Yeah.
when you're driving around in more rural areas, you'll sometimes drive past a stall that's on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Could have fruit in it, some vegetables, eggs. They're usually really cheap, really good, fresh, local food as well.
Yeah.
So there's an honesty box typically, and you can top up on a few bits there.
And that also leads me on to making sure that you shop seasonally. So all the fruits and vegetables and the little stores that Matt mentioned on the side of the road, that will be all fruits and vegetables that are in season. So that is such a good money saving tip and something that you should definitely do.
Yeah, and when it's in season, it's going to be cheaper in the supermarkets
Yeah.
as well. Anything that they have to import and spend money to get into the country is going to be more expensive.
More expensive. A great app that we recommend you download is Petrol Spy. It's essentially a map, and where you are, it will show you all the petrol stations that have the cheapest petrol.
And a big expense that you can cut out almost entirely is just by cooking for yourself. So don't eat out as much at restaurants and things like that, and
Yeah.
you'll save some money. And when it comes to those experiences and activities, it's not guaranteed to save you money every time, but we use Get Your Guide quite often.
Yes.
And we found that sometimes their prices were cheaper than if we went direct.
Yes.
I think one example was Hobbiton.
Yeah.
So if you booked the tour that included the food,
Yeah.
that tour was cheaper than going direct.
Yeah.
But if you booked the tour that didn't have food, that was more expensive than going direct.
Yeah.
So play around with it, see what you can find.
And if you are opting for van life, skipping hotels is always a good way to save money because your camper van is also your home.
And you might be thinking, well, what about when I need a shower? And that's where those incredible, beautiful freshwater lakes come in.
Yeah.
Don't go in with your standard soap that you would use.
No.
Either just naturally rinse off,
Yeah.
or you can find specialty soaps that are good for the environment.
This very nicely leads on to another great way to save money, but another one of our main tips is free camping. You can use apps like Campermate and Rankers, and on here you can search for free campsites, paid campsites, donation campsites, pretty much all the campsites. And if you are looking for recommendations for the top free campsites in New Zealand, we made a video all about our favourites up here.
These include sleeping next to mountains, stunning lakes with the most incredible views where you
Yeah.
can watch sunrises and sunsets. There's some spectacular places in there. And now a little bit of information on a new Vanlife update that came in June 2025. This affects anyone looking to camp in free campsites.
Yes.
So if you have a self-contained camper van, in the past, it would have been okay to have a toilet on board that you can remove, and that's no longer allowed. So you have to have a fixed toilet on board. Our camper van had one that slid out from underneath the seat.
Yes.
And on the back of your camper van, there's supposed to be a green certificate which a ranger will see and know that yours meets the new requirements.
Yeah.
If you're found not adhering to these rules, or a ranger knocks on your van to inspect and you don't have a fixed toilet on board, for example, you can get up to a $1,200 fine. So we mentioned before, we've met some people in the past at free campsites, even though there's toilets at the free campsites, by the way, most of the time.
This doesn't make sense.
But it's still the rule. We found some people who were sleeping in their car.
Yeah.
They would now receive a fine if a ranger found them. So you're kind of doing it at your own risk.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the new update that came in this year.
One thing I will say though, if you are renting a camper van and going to do a trip like this, I would say all of the camper van companies will already adhere and make sure these rules are in place for the camper vans that they're going to rent to you. So
Definitely.
You shouldn't need to worry about this.
But if you receive yours and you don't notice the green badge on the back, for example, definitely get in touch with them.
Ask the question. You might be wondering if it's good to have cash or card, and to be honest, we usually like to have a bit of both. Right at the start of the trip, we drew cash out at an ATM, and I think we had it pretty much to the end of the trip.
Yeah, it lasted the whole way almost.
Yeah, so we didn't actually use cash that much. Everything was pretty much accessible and usable via card. Another thing to note is Kiwi Cash. This is a whole different system, and we're going to add some links below so you can read up into it. But Kiwi Cash is essentially more used in the North Island, I would say.
I don't remember ever seeing it until we got towards the end of our trip. But essentially you can get a little key fob that you load money onto that you can then tap at some campsites. I think we found it in the Bay of Plenty.
Yes.
But we didn't see it that often. We could still pay without having Kiwi Cash.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're staying more long term in New Zealand, maybe it'd be more
good
helpful.
Option. Yeah.
And number 11 is all about having fun and ultimately saying yes to adventure. New Zealand is the extreme sports capital of the world. There are so many incredible experiences that you can have here.
Very true.
And in our opinion, it's important to try and remember that you're here to experience these things and forge these memories.
Yeah.
You can always go back home and make more money. You won't be able to come back here and have these moments again.
Yeah, for sure. These experiences really are one of a lifetime, and I think I'm going to go with our top 3. What do you think our top 3 are? So, number one,
we know.
Skydiving. It has to be skydiving because we skydived over Franz Josef Glacier. It was incredible.
Stunning.
It was incredible.
It's one of those moments that we were both terrified in the build up to it.
Of course, why wouldn't you be?
Sleepless night the night before. Like, we're going to be jumping out of a plane this time tomorrow. But if we didn't say yes to that, we wouldn't have this newfound love for that. We both landed and said, can we go back and do that immediately right now?
100%. We have like a new addiction now, I think. Number 2, I would say we went from the skies really down below to the caves. So we did blackwater rafting in the North Island in Waitomo, and this was unlike anything else we've also never done before. And we were in the caves, jumping off waterfalls, and this is the place that you can see glowworms as well, which was just so beautiful.
It was one of those moments we both turned to each other and was like, this is crazy. It just felt so raw and adventurous.
Number 3 is kayaking around Abel Tasman National Park. This was such an amazing way to see the national park, and we got to see so many seals. It was amazing.
Definitely are the reason why it makes it into number 3. They were so cool. There were loads of them as well. Yeah. But we also did so many other amazing activities over there. So much so that we've put together a list of our top 12 things that you can do in New Zealand.
You do not want to miss this. As well as incredible activities, another really big thing that New Zealand is known for is hikes. So you have to be prepared for the hiking and sometimes the very early mornings. One that stands out to me is when we hiked Roy's Peak in Wanaka, and don't get me wrong, if you're not a hiker and you just generally love walks like us, this is quite difficult. It's basically a few hours of just uphill walking consistently.
In the dark.
In the dark, because we set off at 5 a.m. for sunrise. We didn't make it to the top for sunrise. The sun is rising. Wow.
So cool.
But it was worth it nonetheless because the views at the top in the morning were just incredible.
It's probably the most difficult hike we've ever done.
Yeah, true.
But also the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Those views at the top are unreal. It ruined us for a day though.
It did. You do have to take like a day off, just everything after that. Although, if you are a pro hiker and you love hiking and you hike a lot, you'll probably breeze it.
We saw some people running up and down
We
it.
saw some people just
It
going
made
for
us
it.
feel quite pathetic.
Unfit. Very unfit.
We definitely didn't do all of the hikes in New Zealand.
No, there are a lot of good ones.
But if we were to boil down our top 3, we've already given you Roy's Peak.
Yeah.
Number 2, I know, is Danielle's favourite.
It's in my heart. I swear it's in my heart. Lake Marion track is in the Fiordland National Park and it's an hour and a half there, hour and a half back roughly. It definitely takes swimwear to go for a swim at Lake Marion at the end.
And the final one would be the Hooker Valley track. It's a lot more relaxed than the others. It's pretty flat the whole way. I don't know if it is still closed, but I think the third bridge at the end of the track was closed. If it still is, you can at least do 2/3 of the way there.
Yeah.
And it's a really beautiful scenic walk.
Yeah, really nice.
One that we would add to our list for our next time if we do go back to New Zealand is the Rob Roy Glacier hike. It looks stunning.
It looks incredible. Like there's so many good ones you can do in New Zealand. Side pro tip is to download the All Trails app and there you can actually see loads of the different trails and hikes that you can do.
And number 13 is definitely a lesson that I had to learn along my way around New Zealand, and that's to embrace the cold water.
Yes.
The lakes are really beautiful, stunning, but they are
Cold.
so cold. It just feels like I dived into ice. I'm not great with it.
I usually got in first and tried to downplay it and say, it's not too bad, it's fine, just jump straight in.
It was cold every time. It never got warm.
But it is worth it. It is so beautiful. It's like having your morning coffee for your whole body basically because it just wakes you up and I feel like it's really invigorating. Top 3 lakes, obviously my number 1 from the Lake Marion track is Lake Marion at the end because that was such a beautiful lake to swim in, surrounded by mountains. You really can't beat it.
Also, Lake Pukaki and Lake Tekapo are both incredible.
Yeah. So how much time should you spend on each island? The way that we did it is we spent a month in the South Island and 2 weeks in the North Island. We did have to rush the North Island a little bit.
We weren't helped by the bad weather that we mentioned before right at the end of the trip, so that almost took 5 days.
Yeah.
And when you've only got 2 weeks there, that's a sizable chunk, so it sort of messed up our time in Coromandel. It meant that we couldn't go any higher than Auckland. We basically had to go from Coromandel to handing in our camper van. So there's definitely things that we're missing in the North Island.
Yeah.
But I do think a month in the South was a pretty good amount of time.
I think that's a really good amount of time. I would do that again.
But as you're budgeting your time and working out what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be going, a pro tip would be to at least the night before check on Google Maps the route because it might look like it's only
like just
next door to it.
But
it's the other side of a mountain most likely and something that looks like it might only be 20-15 minutes away could be literally 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Make sure that you plan your routes beforehand.
How do you get between the North and the South Island? From the South, you can go from Picton, and from the North, you go from Wellington, and you can do vice versa. If it's pedestrian only, if you're going in a car or a camper van, it really varies on price. There are 4 ferries a day, and sometimes the price can vary depending on the time that you go and if you book in advance. So if you can and you know when you're going to go, book it in advance.
Definitely. A camper van and 2 people should cost somewhere between $300 to $400.
Yeah.
And if you do book it in advance and pick a decent time, that's how you're getting it closer to that 300 mark rather than the 400.
Absolutely.
Number 16, are there snakes and spiders in New Zealand? The reason we're asking this is a lot of people think that New Zealand is part of Australia. They do have an amazing relationship between each other. But we're just going to clarify, they are 100% separate countries.
Different countries.
And when it comes to snakes, ta-da! No snakes in New Zealand.
No snakes in New Zealand.
How good is that?
That's a pretty big deal, I think. Considering it's so close to all. It's not close to Australia, but it's fairly close to Australia. You expect it.
Yeah, there's none. When it comes to spiders, there are some that are venomous. I think the most venomous one, when I was doing some research, is a indigenous one to New Zealand, but it is also an endangered species.
Okay.
So the chances of you bumping into one of these things are
rare.
so remote. Don't let it stop you doing the hikes. Don't let it stop you camping, swimming, all of that. Just enjoy it. Yeah. You're not going to bump into any scary, creepy crawlers. But what they do have is
sandflies.
Sandflies they look like tiny little fruit flies, so they look super innocent. Not like mosquitoes where you can see their pointer that they're gonna stab you with. They look really small, but they swarm in big numbers and they are rife. They are everywhere. They bite and it swells up similar to a mosquito bite, but the itch is more intense and constant. So you scratch and scratch and scratch. It can cause blisters and things like that. And I'm not kidding when I say there's a lot of them. There are so many. Make sure to bring your insect repellent, pick up some sort of like fly or insect killer as well, just in case they get into your van. You would not want to sleep with these things. But there's a Maori legend that go along with them as well. The Fjordlands were created, and when the goddess of death first saw the whole area, she realized that this is the single most beautiful place in the entire world. So she didn't want humans to populate it and live here and destroy it, basically. So she released the sandflies to keep people away. Didn't quite work maybe the way that she wanted, because there's a lot of people that visit here every year, but I don't think they're that habitable that you could physically live in Milford Sound at least. So maybe she succeeded in some aspect. Number 18 is to keep it eco-friendly.
Yeah.
New Zealand is a very clean, green, eco space. The locals are super proud of that.
Yeah.
So make sure that if you are camping or just driving around in general, you're going to always take your trash with you.
Yeah.
Mentioned it already, if you're going to wash in the streams and in the lakes, don't take your standard body wash because that can harm the environment. Just be a bit more conscious about it.
Yeah, for sure. Same with sunscreens as well. If you are going in the ocean, try and get ocean safe sunscreens because that really helps too.
And they're also very passionate about their wildlife. The bird life here, for example, is some of the richest in the world. So just be very mindful, which does lead us on to the next one.
Yes.
And if you have a drone.
In a lot of national parks and certain areas in New Zealand, depending on where native birds are, drones aren't prohibited in some parts of it. So we always had to be mindful and check and make sure that we couldn't fly ours in certain places.
We did fly it in some places, so you can at times, but just be really mindful. There are so many unique and rare birds here. Don't want to disrupt that.
Absolutely not.
We've discussed the experiences, we've discussed the wildlife, but what about the actual people themselves?
Yeah.
And I would say Kiwis are awesome.
Literally, New Zealanders, you are so beautiful, amazing, kind, and we had nothing but good things to say about you. We absolutely love New Zealand and the people that it has in it.
They cannot wait to tell you about local things that you can do there, different experiences that you can have, roads that you can take that lead to incredible views. It is amazing chatting with them. There's one experience that comes to mind where it was our first run-in with proper Maoris.
Yes.
We were in Wanaka, looking out over a viewpoint, and a Maori biker gang pulled in behind us after we'd pulled their car in. Tattoos all over the face, everywhere, which coming from the UK is not something you typically see, but in New Zealand,
it's part of the culture.
It's part of the culture. It's quite intimidating when you see a biker gang in general.
Anywhere.
So we got out the car and we're looking at the view, and a few people got off their bikes and they were taking pictures and stuff. And I just said, do you want me to take a picture of all of you in front of the view? And they were like, oh my God, yes please, that'd be amazing. Took a picture. That then started conversations. They'd come from the North Island and they were on a bit of a road trip. And that was so just like such an amazing experience.
Yeah, they were so lovely, had some amazing recommendations for us as well, and we all just got photos together and it was great. Nothing but good things to say, to be honest. And finally, we're going to end on love every moment. New Zealand is one of the most beautiful countries we have visited. The people, the wildlife, the landscapes, everything about it, we absolutely fell in love with it. We recommend trying to stretch out your time here as much as possible. We had 6 weeks here, but honestly, it wasn't enough.
Didn't feel like enough. It is such an amazing place. Soak it all in. Just enjoy every moment that you're there. We know that you're going to have the most incredible time.
We hope you found these tips super useful, and we really hope that you love New Zealand as much as we did.
And we know that you will. We don't need to hope it. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.